everyone. Good. What is today? I don't even know anymore. It's the middle of the
Wednesday.
Quarantine. Yeah, I don't know what day it is. Happy Wednesday, everyone. I hope everybody's having a great Wednesday. For those of you who are in the clinic, I hope everything's going well. For those of you who are outside the clinic, I hope you're laying some foundation for when you're back to your practice. Sorry, I'm home, so you might hear my dogs, you might hear my kids. Sorry about that. It is what it is. So everyone, welcome to the PT Business Builder Show, where we believe EMRs suck. That systems and software should improve your practice and your life, not consume it. And here, our only measure of success are systems that give you the time to enjoy your life and the financial freedom to do that. So today we're having Brad Cote on. Brad we met like about 2 weeks ago. I didn't even know you existed. He's got so much awesome stuff. I don't know how. I must have been living in a bubble, but I didn't even know the guy existed. He has got some great systems. He is really helping a lot of PTs. So I wanted to have him on. So we're all PTs or in physical therapy in general. So I wanted to have him on so he could help all of the therapists in the group grow their practice. So Brad, go ahead, introduce yourself, brother, and let people know what you do.
Hey everyone. So I am a dual licensed practitioner and clinic owner myself. For the past 12, 13 years, I've been in the industry in various capacities, from starting a single-based practice, doing personal training and therapy together, to having a clinic with having 15 staff and so on. Lately, what I've found is my passion has really been about being able to make a big impact in the industry, and I want to be able to impact as many lives as possible. And what I started to realize as time went on was other colleagues of mine who had health practices weren't doing quite so well, and what I was doing is sharing some of the concepts, marketing, sales, retention, and some of the stuff we'll talk about today with them. And what I realized is if I was able to help other health practices and practitioners improve their business, they actually can reach more people, and together we can grow a big community. So I've been working a lot more in the consulting space for health practices to market and scale and really grow their businesses to get the more freedom and more income. I've really kind of worked in different capacities in terms of therapy, from post-rehab to all the way up to NFL, NHL based players. And during my process, or I guess my time treating, I started to develop strategies. And what I found was being able to create individualized strategies for health businesses to give them what they need right now. And I find that's really contextual with training, with treating, with training, with consulting, is that there's a lot of people giving information, but there's not too many people who are giving contextual information right now. So what we want to do today is give you guys some strategies that you can implement in order to get your health practices and business in the best position possible.
Great. Yeah. So yeah. Hey, Brent, what's going on? Hey, Andrea, how's it going? Jacob, what's going on? So yeah, that's really like awesome stuff. Like it's kind of anybody who's looking to serve within this industry. That's kind of, that driving force, the things that you see people struggling and that you want to help people get through their current situation, get to that point that they want to be. That's what our whole lead in this thing is about. That's just basically the same message that we're working on. Jerry Day busy. Hey, yeah. It's a Jerry Day, but busy. Well, that's awesome, Brent. Well, I'm not sure, you guys working together. Andrea, glad to hear you're doing well. Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about, you have your method, like the thing that it is that you do, Brad, that thing that, your method of reaching people. Would you mind kind of telling us about that, what it is, and the premise behind it?
Sure. So, we've chatted a little bit, both here and Jerry on his podcast, or whatever you call it. And my method, really, there's three components to the business that you really need to understand if you want to grow your health practice and not have it kind of overwhelm you. So everyone always strives to be working on the business instead of in the business at one point. Because you obviously you want to avoid burnout, make more money, have more freedom. So there's three things that you really got to hone in on, and they're specific to where you are in your actual business cycle. So the first thing is you need to have the right structure, which is basically how your business is set up. Is it cash based? Is it continuity based? Are you selling plans of care? Is it one-off treatments? That type of thing. So you got to have the right structure to dictate the end goal. So that's one consideration. The next thing is you need to have the right systems in place. And the right systems allow you to leverage your time, your expertise, create some preeminence, basically meaning like authority, credibility, expertise in your specific niche or market that you're choosing. And really they allow you to be able to grow your business exponentially. And there's systems, for example, I cover a lot with marketing-based systems, which are attracting patients to you, conversion-based systems, which are converting those patients, those prospects into paying patients. And then there's delivery systems, which are how you actually deliver your service. And we'll talk a little bit about retention-based strategies as well. And then the last thing is you've got to have the right strategies at the right time. So utilizing different strategies to accommodate the specific times of year, the problems you're solving, and so on. So right now, if you're trying to run ads, we talked a little bit about it last night. If your strategy is selling telehealth-based ads, you're more than likely going to set yourself up for failure because you're running a strategy based on selling telehealth, and a lot of people don't really even understand what that is. And we can chat a little bit about that, as we go through. So what's being shown here on the screen is the Omnipresence method. So I came up with Omnipresence method marketing strategy for health practice owners over the years of having my solo practice, the clinic, and developing a strategy for health practice owners that they could really just take and dominate their specific market. So I kind of say it's like Dean Jackson, who's a marketer, refers to it as, I think it's 3 Mile Famous or something along those lines, where you're basically dominating your entire area. So, people are going to see you offline, online, at the grocery store, everywhere they go, you're really indoctrinated into the community. So that way you're able to leverage all of those different types of platforms and so on. So we can talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah. I mean, like that. That's I really love the idea of like the whole ecosystem. Hey, May, how's it going? I love the idea of the whole ecosystem. And guys, just real quick, one of the things that he said I thought was so important is like the different places that you are within your practice, some of the things that you struggle with. So if you guys would like to share with us, what you're struggling with, like what your particular problem is right now, and potentially we can get some information from Brad about how we can help, like how we can help you get through this particular thing that you're trying to get over. These are very unique times. This is a very unique circumstance that we're in right now. Hopefully it'll be over soon. But there's a lot of things that we really have to dial in and work on, because the struggle is real, guys. And if you're suffering from that struggle, just let us know below, and hopefully we can try and help something here or share something here that's going to help you through that situation. So in this Omnipresence method, with all of these umbrellas, like what's the overall takeaway from that graphic, that whole thing? And I would like to share it, but it's not working right now. I keep trying to share it up there, and it's bouncing back on me. But what's the overall idea of the Omnipresence, of the 3 circles, and how you leverage them to grow your business? Hey, Teresa.
Sure. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll just post the link so guys can see the model there and whatnot. And I've also got a video that kind of walks through each section. So the overall strategy with Omnipresence, Omnipresence essentially means like being seen everywhere, everywhere someone goes. So the overall strategy here is it consists of 3 general sections, and then each general section has 3 subsections. So it makes more sense if you look at the picture. So don't get too overwhelmed if you are. Well, look at the picture. So essentially what you want to be able to do is have, of the three main sections, is you have online strategies, which are like Facebook, your website, and so on. You've got offline strategies, which are things like running workshops, which technically are more online now, because we can't see people, but workshops that you can have in your clinic, as well as direct mail or newspaper. So offline based strategies. And then the last one is really, really overlooked, but it's extremely crucial component that a lot of solo practitioners should be using when they first start out in order to grow their business exponentially. And they're partnerships or joint ventures. So not a partnership in terms of like an equity partner in your business, but partnerships in terms of like, hey, we're partnering up, or it's a joint venture. And that might be something like setting up synergistic partnerships with companies. So for example, if you're doing physical therapy, you're looking at the chain of physical therapy is here, but we've also got, well, what comes before and after? So someone might go to a doctor before. So I might have a partnership that's synergistic with a medical doctor. And afterwards, I might have someone who needs to get in shape. So I might have a personal trainer or a nutritionist. So those are things that you can utilize. And essentially, Omnipresence, what we really want to do is install these campaigns and get them running so that you have a system and a strategy that you can use all the time to help generate new patients. And that's really, really important part is having, not just relying on Facebook or word of mouth or anything, but if you've got 3 or 4 new patients from each one of these sections, you end up getting 20, 30 new patients per month. And part of the key to it, if you look in the middle, is we talk a lot about retention, and we talk about getting referrals and reactivation and so on. So there's in the center component, it's not just about getting new patients in all the time, but we want them completing their full plans of care. We want to help generate referrals because it helps keep our ad costs down and grow our business with like-minded people and so on. So the overall Omnipresence method, like generally for us, is able to exponentially grow our clinics as well as the clients that we work with by doing it. So if you are looking at this, you don't implement all of them at once. What we really do is take a look at what your business is now. So if you're a solo practice owner and you only get by on word of mouth, then we might start doing something like workshops and joint ventures to start getting you going. If you're a bigger clinic and you've got Facebook ads and all this other stuff running, we'd look at optimizing those and maybe saying, okay, well, you've got Facebook, it's doing really good, but can we do AdWords campaign, or can we do a partnership or something like that? And a lot of the times, you've got to be strategic. You can't just do it wrong. A lot of the times people get shiny object syndrome and they're going to say, well, I'm going to do Facebook ads. And they do a really bad job at it. And they say, well, Facebook ads don't work for me. Well, it's, can you say that you actually spent the time to invest in actually getting them working? And I mean, for me, it took me, a lot of time and money. I kind of like to expedite my process by, investing in courses and people who can help me get to the next level. So I spent a lot of money and time on marketing and sales systems and all this other stuff through my career. So it kind of helped me, but it still took me a while to get ads that would be repeatable and helping me get the right people coming in, which is a huge thing.
Yeah. So the one thing that I really wanted to talk about was the retention piece. This is something that you and I briefly talked about before we hopped on. The retention, about how retention's the best marketing, and how right now it's like the vital piece, because we're shedding patients right now like it's our job. We're struggling to bring new ones in, and a lot of the ones that we have are either just sitting on the shelf or have kind of gone away because of the circumstance that we find ourselves in. So would you kind of mention a little bit about your retention piece and how you see that being leveraged right now in the current circumstance to sustain your practice or grow your practice?
For sure. And I mean, retention, like outside of even just, these trying times now, is absolutely crucial. So people always focus on trying to get new patients coming in, but if they've got people coming out and they're losing them out the back door, So they've got a huge attrition of patients coming in, or they're not completing full plans of care. You got to fix that problem first. And when we first do strategy calls with people and onboard them and kind of get them sorted out, a lot of what we talk about getting people started is we need a retention strategy first, because if you don't have a way to retain people, get them to complete full plans of care, they're not going to get as good of results. They're not going to give you reviews and advocate for your business. They're not going to give you referrals and so on. So, the whole Omnipresence method and what I really do in my business and help people with is getting that retention. It's crucial. So a lot of what we talked about now for retention really comes back to being able to over communicate with your patients about their health and what's going on, and making it about them and not you. And I said one crucial error that a lot of people messed up, not just physical therapists, but gym owners and massage therapists and so on, is as soon as things got shut down, a lot of people kind of took it personally and were like, well, that's it. I'll talk to you guys later. And they cancel people off their schedule. They would cancel patients who might have seen them for years, who depended on them for back pain help or knee pain or whatever it is. And they might have had a lot of prospects who are new on the schedule, or prospects who should have been getting phone calls and follow-ups. And really, like, when you're a couple weeks ago or a month or whatever we are in this vacuum of time now, originally, like, if you took action to contact people and say, hey, you know what, I can't treat you for these reasons, we're closed and whatnot, but I want to know how I can best support you. So that's one thing that we did right away is over communicate to the patients and say, how can we support you? And from that, we ended up having the simple translation of getting someone who had back pain or knee pain and just saying, listen, here's some ways we can help you. Well, I want you to help me with my back pain. Okay, well, here's some ways that we can help. And then we didn't have a conversation about saying, hey, do you want to do a telehealth appointment? It was more like, well, do you still want help? Here's one way we can help you. We'll set it up online and we'll give you some exercises to do, and we'll do our best for where we're going. So that's the first way, like really just having a conversation. And I think a lot of people, practitioners, just mess that up right off the bat.
Right. I had Stephen Dunn on earlier, and he was saying that was sort of the method that he used. Like, he would just call people to see how they were doing. And then he would remember the things that they were having difficulty with and ask them, oh, so, hey, how are you doing? I remember you said that you had a hard time, when you were washing dishes. Hey, would you mind if right now, like, if I just took a look, like, we can do a little video thing and I can watch you do it, and I might be able to help you out. Right. And he snuck into telehealth by using it as a context to get a look at the thing that they were having a problem with, because he did want to see it, but it really allowed him to do that. It allowed him to switch on the patient and show them, hey, this is the value that I can offer you right now. Is it okay if we do that? And then if the patient says yes, well, now you're doing a telehealth visit and you help them. Well, try this. Does that hurt as much? And they, well, no, that's a little bit better. Well, now guess what? You just sold them on telehealth. Now you say, hey, would you be opposed to us doing this again? Like, if there's other things that I can help you with, if I can just watch you in your home doing certain things, maybe I can help you along in this process further. So we're not losing everything that we gain. So now he's been able to successfully switch people to telehealth by offering it not as telehealth, but as a way that I can take a look at you, a way that I can see the problem that you're having that I haven't been able to see in the clinic.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's great. And it's the big thing is communication, and literally asking people, what do you need help with? And just genuinely caring for them. And some people, are not going to answer their phone, or they're not going to, they're not going to want to do anything, but that's fine. Who cares? We'll just follow up with them. No one's going to get mad at you for saying, you know what, I'm really mad that you called to check in on seeing how my back pain was, knowing that I'm probably sitting at home doing nothing and it might get worse, and giving me some exercises or tips to help me. So that's a really big, component of this is communication.
Yeah. Hold on here. I'm going to share. Andrea said this. We found the majority of the people that dropped off at the beginning of this pandemic was strictly fear of what the media was saying, and the fear of the unknown. With the information that has been publicized recently and our internal/external marketing efforts, we are seeing our numbers trending up for the last 3 weeks from the lowest numbers in week 3 of March. Well, that's awesome that things are starting to trend up for you, Andrea. There is a lot of fear, and this is going to be something that even when this thing's over, we've got to overcome that. Like that fear is still going to be there, especially for some of our older patients that might have comorbidities, be immunocompromised. There's a big uphill battle, and I'm glad to hear that it's starting to loosen up for you. Hopefully, that's the story for everybody here soon. But the marketing efforts, they will pay off. At the very least, you're laying the foundation for that reopen. For whenever you're getting back. So say you aren't seeing anybody right now, you're at least laying that foundation for that next step in the process of getting back to basically recapture and retain the people that you had before. And that's kind of what Brad's talking about. Brad, would you mind giving some people some ideas, some of things that they can do right now to try to help with that retention, to try to help with the people that they've already lost, and even to hopefully maybe even get some referrals out of that from other people by showing them value between now and that date?
For sure. And it goes back to, kind of saying the same thing again, but it's like a lot of the retention goes back to communicating. So, we'll do phone calls and following up with people and we'll ask them, well, how are you doing? How can we help support you? And in one instance, a couple of weeks ago, what happened was people are saying, you know what, I need some accountability. I need to move. I'm feeling stiff. Like my body's starting to rust. So what we did is just put together a Zoom call, basically, where people could go on and we would instruct them through, okay, here's some basic stretches and isometric exercises that you can do. And what we ended up having is saying, hey, is there anyone else who would benefit from this? Send them a link. And we ended up getting patients joining us and actually paying for private sessions to get more insight specifically for them. So, it's simply just asking people what they want and then giving them or creating something specific.
So how do you retain those leads right now?
Well, a lot of it is building it around that community. So if you're asking people what they want, giving them offers of saying, hey, we've got a free, mobility-based thing, come join us. That's a huge component. Making sure, we handwrite cards, which is tedious for like 500 people, but handwrite cards. Hey, hope you're well. Let us know how we can help, whatever. Send stuff like that. So we're over communicating and utilizing our Omnipresence to be able to get as much contact with them as possible, and they have the ability to opt in or do whatever. But at the end of the day, is that when they need to come back for back pain, they're going to be thinking of us just because we've kind of used inception in their mind of hey, we're providing all those types of value, and we talked a little bit last night about leveraging joint partnerships. So having other business owners that we work with saying, hey guys, we've got a group of people who are not moving around. Here's a workshop that you can do, and so on. So literally we're literally doing the same things that we would do before, except we're just changing slightly the delivery of the service to utilizing it to be online instead of offline. So we do workshops like Bulletproof Your Low Back, and we generally would target like runners, hockey players, and so on. So we kind of change our target depending on who we're trying to reach. But we literally just take that and just do the same thing online. And you don't really need a lot of tech skill to kind of do that, but we facilitate the workshop the same, promote it the same way. We're still running Facebook ads. So all of that stuff is really the same. The retention is still the same. We're following up and doing service calls and the best we can. Letting people know, hey, I don't know when we're able to get back, but here's some things we can help you with right now. If you want help, let us know. You can do our workout, you can do a one-on-one calls, like whatever. So we're constantly giving people options and communicating with them during this process of uncertainty, because the more uncertain your patients are, and the more that they're freaked out, like like the one person, it just says Facebook user, so I don't know who posted it, but the one person said, we have a bunch of people who are freaking out. Well, that will only be for a period of time until people realize, well, you know what, my back's killing me or my neck's killing me. I need to get some help. So, the problems are still there. And all you've really got to do is just communicate and be in front of those patients so that ultimately you can, when they're ready, you can help them. And, you're not retaining them by forcing it down their throat of like, you have to do this, but you're being there for them and they'll make the decision.
Yeah, and Andrea I don't know if she just private messaged me, but she said that what they've been doing, she said over the last couple of weeks, over the last 3 weeks or so, they've called everybody that walked through the door of their practice. They've made over 100 and some phone calls, re-engaging people, and over the last, they're getting 3 to 5 new patients a week right now, even during this crisis, because they're reactivating the old people. They're calling them and having a conversation with them. Something that you and I talked about previously was slide out, and you want to kind of introduce everybody to that, like how you can, instead of making the 100+ phone calls or 200 phone calls or 300 phone calls, how you can reach out to everybody and create that without committing that enormous amount of time. Naturally, the personal interaction is better, and if you have the time, that's what I would recommend. But how, if you don't, or you don't want to commit to that time, how you can start to re-engage people, start to warm those past patients back up to you.
Yeah. So I mean, I agree. Like, my perception is like, just do it. Like, we call probably like 500+ people a week just to kind of like get in touch with them, and you're paying the admin and stuff. But if you don't have that ability, there's slide dial, which basically you can record a message and send it as like a, what do you call it, a blast or a bulk send. So it'd be like hitting send or broadcast, I guess it's called. So you would hit send, and it literally records your message, and everyone gets this pre-recorded voicemail to their phone. So it'd say, you could record and say, hey, it's Brad here from Lincoln Performance Therapy, just giving you a quick call to follow up and see how everything's going, and how we can best support you in these times. Hit send, and next thing you know, it's to every single person on the list that you want it to go to. Maybe not the people that is the do not call list, but
right. Yeah. It segments those people out. If somebody's on the do not call list, we're not going to call them with ads. Yeah. So it's a great tool. To get through that armor. Like, so we've been emailing people, right? We email everybody. So we emailed them. They're kind of getting everybody's getting a little bit numb to their emails. How many emails in your inbox are sitting there right now that you haven't opened? Like, or you will never open, or that you have just trashed, or that you have put into the spam folder. So, it's still an effective media, but it's losing its effectiveness every day. So when you have leads or past patients, that's an incredible way to reach out to them with this blast. And then you'll start to get some of these people calling back. I always like to close with the sorry I missed you thing. Hey, just give me a call whenever you get a minute, because I'm asking them to re-engage with me. I want them to call me. I want to get on the phone with them, and that's a great way to convert a lot of your people, past patients, leads, into customers again or patients again, is by reaching out and engaging with them. Everybody has a problem right now. Everybody's got a big problem. If you're at home and you're in pain, that problem's even bigger, because now you don't think that there's anything that you can do. If you can address that issue for people and reduce some of their fear and their doubts about your ability to help them, that's how you're going to convert people. You're not really going to convert a lot of people by campaigns to bring new patients in right now, because there's a lot of people that are afraid to leave their homes. You're going to have to really work this retention. This retention method right now is, retention and reactivation is going to be your best method right now, because you've already knocked down a lot of the barriers with these people. The new leads right now, that barrier is very difficult to knock down. So Brad, any want to share anything on that front?
Yeah, I mean, in the big thing to think about is retention and reactivation. It's not synonymous to now. It's forever. You should always have these systems in. And if you don't, your business is never going to work quite as well. You're not going to get as good of results with your patients and prospects. And we talked a little bit about mapping the journey out. And I know that your software does that. It's really important to map the journey out and have these reactivation and engagement-based campaigns for current patients, for past patients, for prospects, and all of these sections here. Having an optimized system and strategy for those allows you to, help more people, make more money, grow your business, and have more of an impact and more freedom and everything else. So, it's important to note that, like what we're talking about here, we're just adapting a little bit towards what's going on, but ultimately these are strategies and things that you should be doing all the time. And if you're not, you're missing out huge, and you really got to consider, starting to implement these things into your business.
Not to derail this, but the numbers are just staggering. Like WebPT, the biggest EMR in the game, they did research that showed over 75% of people do not complete their plan of care. 3/4 of the people that walk into your practice never finish their plan of care. Like, that's like, boom. But just that number is just staggering. The amount of money that is left on the table because you're not retaining your people is absolutely incredible. And then if you look at the next step of those 25% that you retain, that they are responsible for 80% of your future business. 80% of your future business comes from, actually 20% of that 25% that remain. So it's a very, very small portion of your practice. That's why what Brad's talking about works so big, because if you make what's 20% of 25%, at what, 3%? So if you move that 3% to 4%, that's a 33% increase in business by moving those happy customers by 1%. You could have a 30% growth in business. Like, the amount of money that we just leave and let go on the table is absolutely mind-boggling. And everybody worries about getting a new patient, while the person that's really controlling the future health of their business and the future growth of their business, they're not that they're ignoring, but they're not creating systems and strategies to leverage that point when they only have to make an incremental gain to make huge growth in their business. And it's staggering to me, the amount of money. And what are your thoughts on that? Like, why is that? Why do we focus on the shiny new when the thing that's right in front of us can do 100 times more than the lead gen ever could, by and large, kind of gets pushed to the side?
I think that it's just that what you're really taught in business is like, go after, get new people, that type of stuff. And it's almost a dopamine response when you're like, I just got a new person and score. I mean, I worked in corporate-based environments for therapy and training, and that's what was really driven. And, there's a saying that you'll hear, and it says there's 3 ways to grow your business. I actually will say there's 4, and I'll give you the 4th one as bonus. Some people probably already know what it is, but the first one is get more patients. Well, the problem with that is the most expensive and takes the most skill set to be able to do. But you obviously got to do that at one point. So you need a system and strategy for that. You can get your current patients to buy more frequently. So they, might, if they're doing 1 session a week, they can go to 2 sessions a week. And you can get your patients to spend more money. So can they, and this is kind of a bit of ascension. So if you're a physical therapist, and can you partner with a personal trainer? Can you sell supplements, or like, is there other things that you can help, not just to sell it just for the hell of it, but to sell something that someone is probably going to need and could probably is going to go out to a nutrition shop and mess up and buy the complete wrong product. So, for us, we'd say, magnesium is probably a beneficial supplement. And we're not going into supplement debate, but, we'd say magnesium is a good supplement. What most people do is they go to Walmart or whatever and buy magnesium oxide, which is basically useless. So we'd say, magnesium, malate and glycinate is a blend that we use. This product is better. Plus you can buy it from us and you get a bit of a discount. So we're actually enhancing the patient experience, which leads to retention because they don't need to go out and try to find all these things. I'm making it easier for them and they can make more money. And then the fourth thing is retain your clients. And you'll see it in marketing where it's like, those are the 3 ways to grow your business. But technically the fourth one to grow your business is retain, because if you've got 100,
keep your customers.
I'm not great with math without using the calculator, so I'll use 100. So if you got 100 patients, that might be a lot or less to some of you, but you got 100, and every month I lose, 20 patients, it's exponentially harder for me to get new people to replace them than the person who just loses 5. So if you work on retention, think of how much money that is. Each patient pays you $100 a month, and you got 100 patients. Like, you're losing so much money with the 20 that are falling off. So why not have a system to fix that? And it's really not that difficult. A lot of the stuff that we implement is really basic, small things to engage the community and get these people working. So example that I can give you is there's a physical therapist, and he's in Canada, and what we were working with him on is always getting new patients in. So his whole thing was about I need tons of leads, and I need 100 leads from Facebook. And that's the first problem, is that leads don't mean anything because it's the quality of the leads. Anyone can go out and get a ton of leads, just give a good offer to whoever, but whether those people are going to convert, that's kind of another story. So his whole thing was, I need to get tons of leads. I need to get new patients. When we sat down and looked at the amount of people that were falling off from his business and the amount of people he needed, I'm like, well, why do you need to get so many leads? Well, I need to make more money. Yeah, but why are you not making money? You're selling like 20 new patients a month. How are you not making any money? Well, the reason why is because he's spending so much money on the front end trying to get new people in, and all these people
so much effort.
In the meantime, he's not getting results. He's not getting in referrals. So what we really did was say, okay, let's pump the brakes on finding new people. We're going to start going to emphasize as much. We're going to fix the back end. And over the course of 6 weeks, we were focusing on implementing strategies to retain patients. And what happened was he was able to retain, I can't remember the exact numbers of specifically how many it was, but he ended up retaining a lot more patients. And with that, what we were able to do is get referrals from those people who were getting better results. So without having to spend as much ad costs, I think we probably went from about $2,500 a month to maybe $500 or $600 just on Facebook ads. So cut off a lot of his ad spend. And all of that extra money is now cash that we can use to in the business. I like to actually put money towards retention. And in my marketing budget, I put money from my marketing budget to a retention budget, because retention is marketing, in my opinion. So some of that money that we take, we put into the retention aspect, and we use it to stimulate referrals and so on. So he ended up getting more money, more new patients, and more money from cutting his ad spend costs just by keeping his patients and getting referrals from them. So he ends up having 5,000 or 6,000 around there, I believe, per month more, just from that simple switch in the course of about 6 weeks. So it's not like something needs to be, going to take you 2 or 3 years to be able to do. You can implement these small systems and strategies right away, and in 4, 5, 6 weeks, you end up having something that is able to generate you referrals, stop drop-offs, and you end up having maybe a couple thousand more per month, depending on the setup of your business. If you're a massive clinic, I've seen people make $20,000 more a month from that. And this is speaking from experience of me consulting, going into clinics that just like completely going out the door as fast as they're coming in the door. So maybe even a negative ratio on that. So that's
and I can't agree enough, man. Like, if people would hear what you're saying, it would mean everything to their business. Like, the idea. So we as physical therapists, in general, I'm generalizing here. This isn't everybody. A lot of people in this group already get it, but there's two things that we think about. We need new patients, and we need better skills to bring in and retain new patients. Right? This is. I keep coming back to this story. It's one of my favorite stories, the E Myth. Right? I don't know if you ever read the book. Great book. Michael Gerber's in it. He's talking about hotel experience he had. He tells everything about the hotel. He talks about how he went into the hotel, how nice it was. He was talking to the woman, and she was really attentive, and he was noticing that her ribbon matched a ribbon in her hair. Within 2 to 3 minutes, the bellhop's there. She's making small talk the whole time. He's not really noticing. She asks him if he's hungry. He says yes. She says, well, we reserved some reservations at our restaurant connected to us just for people staying at the hotel. Would you like me to get you a table? He says, yeah, I'm actually kind of hungry. He goes, he has a nice meal. He's by himself. He thinks the waiter's just making small talk with him. He's drinking bourbon and, having a nice evening. He walks back over to his hotel, and there's a fireplace in there. He sees that the fireplace is lit. And he was thinking, man, I would really like another bourbon to sit here and watch us, sit in front of the fire. And he looks over, and there sits a glass of bourbon. Not just any bourbon. It's his bourbon, exactly the way he likes it. And there's a note that says that this is your bourbon, exactly the way you like it. If you want, you can dump it out or you can drink it. If not, just leave it here and I'll take care of it for you in the morning. If you need anything, I'll be up all night waiting for your call. Karen, which was the girl he met at the front desk. So he sits there and drinks his bourbon and enjoys the fire that they started for him. And he goes to bed, and he wakes up in the morning to the smell of coffee. And there he goes over, they had the coffee pot set, not just any coffee. It was his coffee. There was a note there from Karen saying, hey, this is your coffee. We know this is the cream you like. It's in the refrigerator. If you need anything, I'm down at the front desk waiting for your call. And he's sitting there drinking his coffee. And he's like, how the hell did they know this was my coffee? And then he remembers the waiter made small talk with him and got this information from him. As he's sitting there enjoying it, and he's like, how did they know? And then he remembered talking to her up front. She asked if he needed a wake-up call. I was like, no, I wake up every day at like 7 a.m. So she set the coffee pot for 20 minutes before he got up, so it was ready for him. Then there's a knock on the door, and there's a newspaper, and he's in San Francisco, and it's his newspaper. It's the New York Times. And he picks up the paper, and he's like, how did they know? And then he remembered when he came in, she was talking about the newspaper she liked. She was reading an article in this newspaper, and she loves this newspaper. And he just mentioned that he's a New York Times guy, right? But okay, this whole story, the whole thing that happened to him, and he said him and his wife go there at least once or twice a year now to this specific hotel that he just went to just to stop. He was looking for somewhere to rest one night. None of it had to do with how clean or nice the hotel was. None of it had to do with a thread count or how soft the pillow was or any of that or how nice the room was. The whole thing was about the way it made him feel. That they heard him, that they listened to him, and that they did something about it. So like in your practice, that what Brad's talking about, this retention and spending money on this retention in your practice, that is the mindset that you need. You need to look at this thing as how can I create this experience for them that is not just going to be like, oh, that was great. It was going to make them go, wow, that was incredible. How did they do that? How did they know exactly what? And you have to make them think, right? So this is everything in your business. If you want to grow your business, do what Brad's saying. Spend that money, at least some of that money, on creating this experience for your people. If you can do that, you can pretty much stop the upfront ads because you'll be full. You'll be absolutely full. So, Brad, any thoughts on like how you could do like little things that you can do within your practice to implement stuff like that to make the person go, wow, this was a little bit different.
For sure. I mean, I call that like curating the experience, and I kind of got the idea of off a book. There's one called Predictably Irrational. It's probably one of my favorite books. And what it does is it talks about people, how they make decisions. A lot about how they make decisions is based on past experiences. So I think there's and I'll answer and we'll kind of get back, but just as an idea is that a lot of people, especially people who are getting physical therapy in like the medical based setting, the hospital based setting, the reality is those people generally don't have as good of an experience. So if you can create a great culture and a great curated experience, those patients are always going to come back to you. And if for some reason they go somewhere else, Predictable Irrational talks about, people always compare. People say, well, shit, I'm never going to go back to this place ever again because they didn't give me my coffee and all that stuff. So things that we do, it's, if you've got the front desk, or if you don't have the front desk, you're just yourself, it's knowing everybody's name and everything that they do. For us, what we use is CRM and enter everyone's information. So the front desk person, they're focused a lot on retention. That's why the front desk person is there. They're there to retain people. We also have an acquisition person, but primarily, they do stuff in the back and not interact with people as much up front. But you got someone who's at the front who's retention based. And what their goal is to make every person that walks in feel like a celebrity. And if you can have them know their name, what's going on in their life, have good conversations. And like you said, we'll have coffee set up for them. We've got a bunch of different ones of these makers or tea. You say, hey, here's your tea. Here's your lemongrass tea, whatever. So take some money. It doesn't cost that much. I think we spend maybe like $300 a month on little extras, especially for those big spenders. Because we got a couple people who spend $25K a year for their family. So if they want a lemongrass tea, sure, you want it in a copper mug or whatever you want.
Yeah.
So especially for those higher end people, you want to really curate and make sure that they feel really good. And you give them a little bit extras potentially, but everyone, they get a towel, whether they ask for it or not. They've got their coffee ready. They've got, you want to read a specific magazine. Sure. You want to take this one, go ahead. Like we do whatever we can in order to make that experience. And what we do is I create a thing called, a patient success journey, and we give it to them right out the bat. And what it is basically it just outlines what the plan of care looks like, typically when they're going to see results, when we're going to follow up with them, we're going to ask them for referrals. We explain, basically indoctrinate them into the culture. And, I really think that this is an important aspect because a lot of the time people feel, especially in healthcare, feel uncertain when they come and see you. They may have had a bad experience with someone else before and they're thinking, well, do I need to get naked? Or is it going to hurt me? They did acupuncture and I was bruised last time. Like, I can't do these exercises and it's a lot of money. Like all of these things are going on in their head. So the more that you can help them feel relaxed, the more that they're going to be able to connect with you. And at the very least, and we've had this before where we've had a really good experience. So even if it's a prospect coming in, we give them a book that's specific for them. Basically we just make an ebook and then print them out. But we have a care pack. You come in and you're a walk-in. You want to learn a little bit more about what we're doing. What we end up doing is create a care package. Give it to them no matter what. And a lot of the time, people who are shopping around, they're going to go to your place and everyone's welcoming. You got like a mini shock and awe based box. So they've got a good setup. And then they go to the place across the road that's like, the shitty chairs from Walmart that are uncomfortable to sit in. The person's texting behind the front desk, and so on. And I've even seen really high-end places where the front desk person's like hiding, playing video games. I don't know what they're doing behind the desk, but they never greeted me one time. And these are places that I went in to go do consulting with. So I would just go in randomly ahead of time and just observe. And a lot of times I sat there for like 20 minutes and no one said anything to me. So our premium. So if you can curate that experience, it's really, really important to be able to retain those people. And how you can do that now is, handwrite cards. Like you said, everyone's competing for email boxes. Well, pick up the phone and call someone. Write a card. If I could write 100 cards, if you got 100 patients and you wrote 100 cards, that just was your handwriting, and you wrote a personalized message and it took you 3 hours to do it. That's a really good investment in time. Because if it helps, it just helps you stay at top of mind. Like it's not like you can say I'm getting $10,000, sale from doing this, but you never know.
I'll let you know a little secret too. Your patient doesn't know the difference between your handwriting and somebody else's handwriting, so you don't even necessarily have to write them.
It would just be like some squiggles on a paper if it was mine. So,
yeah, me too, because my writing's god awful atrocious. But okay, so just in case somebody doesn't know, shock and awe. Shock and awe is it's a form of marketing. So he said the mini shock and awe packages for the patients, right? Shock and awe is something that you give to somebody that it is just that. It's the shock and make them go, oh, it's based off a Desert Storm shock and awe that they did. So it's to meet them with an overwhelming force that they just can't ignore. So like you're giving them this thing and they're like, wait a minute, I just walked in, you're giving me a little gift. Like what is this? Right. So that's going to create something totally different for the patient than when they walk in and they get absolutely nothing. If you hand them stuff to help them in their journey, hey, try this, see if this works for you. Here's some TheraBand. Here's some, what, it doesn't even really matter what it is. It's more the fact that you're going out of your way to create something for them. You thought of them and you're giving them something. It creates a totally different experience than that not being there. Sorry, I just wanted to give a little bit of context in case somebody was listening and didn't know what shock and awe was. So Brad, your group, let's talk a little bit about your group. So I assume you're teaching people this stuff within your group. I've been scrolling it along the bottom below there. So if you want to talk a little bit about your group, tell them about your group and how you're helping people there.
Sure. So the group that we got on Facebook here is marketing and growth strategies for your health practice. And really what I'm doing is taking different components of what I'm using right now in my businesses and with clients and sharing kind of condensed versions down. So there's different, it's really meant to be a community of people so you can ask questions and I'll be posting different content and kind of helping you guys along. So if you're looking at implementing some of these strategies, whether they're retention or marketing based strategies or learning more about Omnipresence, you can join the group and go through some of the content there. And ultimately, get help on directing yourself in the right path.
Yeah, that's great. So hey, everybody, I recommend right now, as soon as you're done, check out Brad's group, the marketing and growth strategies for your healthcare practice. There's a lot of great stuff there. It's going to fit in well. It's really going to help grow your practice. I mean, guys, I can't tell you enough. Like, you really should join that group if you're not already in it, and leverage the tools. I mean, Brad's giving stuff away for free. Why? What do you have to lose? I mean, there's so much value in the stuff that we're talking about teaching, and he's teaching over there, that you can't afford not to take advantage of it. So, Brad, anything else you would like to share with people in parting?
I always like to say this, when I do kind of podcasts and videos and so on, is I always say, just to remember this: the client or the patient or the customer doesn't need you; you need them. And when you think of the relationship in that context, it allows you to make better decisions. So if you're thinking about how can I constantly improve my patient's experience and result, and you're driven and passionate towards that, it will allow you to make better decisions on your systems, your structure, your strategy, and everything else. And then I guess the other thing to follow up with what you said is just, you got to take action, and in taking imperfect action is the best step. You can't let fear, drive you. So if you're scared of picking up the phone and calling someone, or you're scared of doing a marketing campaign or sales or whatever, like, you just got to do it. And taking action is the first step. If you do nothing, I can guarantee the result that will happen is you will probably actually be worse off, than not doing anything at all. So take action, try stuff out, and you'll find out over time what works and what doesn't. But those who try stuff and fail faster, and do it with a growth mindset are the ones who are going to be able to progress, and they're going to be able to help more people. I mean, why did we get into this health profession? It wasn't to make a ton of money, because if that was the goal, you'd go into a different industry. This is, to help people improve their lives. So if you really want to help people improve their lives, the better business that you can build, the more support you can give to those patients in your practice.
Right. Yeah, I think a great thing we were talking about right before we went live was something that you were saying about being afraid, right? And I was telling him the story of the first time I ever did one of these lives with somebody, and I was just scared out of my mind. Like, I'm sitting there and I'm sweating, like I'm physically sweating. I'm so nervous. My hands are clammy. Like, and now honestly, I enjoy this. Like, I like coming on here and talking to people and sharing things with people. So guys, don't do it. Take that first step. Know that you're going to get that it's going to bother you. Hey, TJ, what's going on? John, what's going on? Know that it's going to bother you. You're not going to be comfortable with it. It's not going to be something you enjoy the first time. The first couple of times, you're going to suck. Each time that you practice getting better, reaching out to your patients, picking up that phone, calling them, the less uncomfortable it gets each and every time until it becomes something that you're very comfortable at. The success is going to happen when the comfort finally reaches. When you really start to get comfortable talking to them and you're comfortable conveying to them, they're going to know it and they're going to become more comfortable with you and, take your offers up more or re-engage more or whatever the goal of your plan is. So guys, take that imperfect action. Get a little bit sweaty, get a little bit clammy, push through it, keep going until you get there. So Brad, man, thank you so much. Like, I can't even tell you how much I appreciate you coming on here and sharing all of your experiences with everybody. If anybody has any questions for Brad, please just put them down below. The patient experience stuff that he's talking about and the way that you can grow your business through this omnipresence and retention and reactivation is absolutely huge. So he's a great resource. Any questions you got below would be great. So Brad, from the bottom of my heart, man, thank you for coming on and sharing with a group. I really appreciate it. And everyone, thank you for joining another episode of the PT Business Builders Show, where we believe EMRs suck. That systems and software should improve your life and your practice, not consume it. And here, the only measure of success are systems that give you the time to enjoy your life and the financial freedom to do that. So, hey, everyone, thank you for joining. Brad, anything you want to say in closing?
No, thanks for everyone coming here and listening to me. If you have questions, just give me a shout.
All right. Well, thank you. Thanks, Stephen. Nathan, hey, how's it going? You're hopping on right at the very end, man. But if you have any questions for Brad, drop them below. Or if you just came in at the end like Nathan, I really suggest starting this thing from the beginning or watching it. This has been great. So thank you again, Brad.
Thanks, guys.